This is part 2 of our adventure on the East Mojave Heritage Trail, where we continue on segment 2 and 3. There's much to explore, from old mines to cinder cones, dry lake beds, and windy mountaintops. My name is Stefan, and this is Bronc Riding. Good morning. It's our third night at camp here, and it has been very windy and quite cold last night. So we decided to pack up camp, not to mess around with breakfast this morning, and let's find another location where it's a little warmer, maybe lower elevation, and take it from there. Found a good spot here. It's really nice, but it's 5,200 feet elevation, and I don't know, some cold wind came in, and it is cold. We definitely have used all our warm clothes last night, which I'm glad we brought it. So, but it's a good spot. So we are getting ready to pack up and get out of here. So come along. The views over the Mojave Desert on top of this pass at well over 5,000 feet were amazing. But the wind was really howling, and we decided not to hang out for too long up here. Shortly after this viewpoint, we encountered a part of the trail that took all of our concentration. Here, the East Mojave Heritage Trail follows a dry lake bed with lots of boulders to climb over. Since it was really cold and windy, we didn't record any footage of this section, which we very much regretted afterwards. We did have to spot one another to find good lines to make it safely down this part of the trail. And to top it all off, we did the whole thing on an empty stomach, so we were really craving a hot cup of coffee and some breakfast after we went through this obstacle. Oh, and here's a pro tip for all you spotters. Don't ever walk backwards when you're spotting. It is easy to get wrapped up in the moment and focus on the vehicle instead of your own footing, and that is when things can go wrong quickly. So watch out for yourself first. After all, you won't be much help if you get hurt or even injured while you're spotting. We stopped for a moment at Riley's cemetery to grab a quick bite out of the back of the truck. Some of my fog lights showed quite a bit of condensation inside the lenses. So we did loosen up the ventilation screws on the back of the lights a little bit and went back on the trail and hoped they would dry out eventually. We're here at the Evening Star mine on the trail, that's a pretty big old structure, so we're gonna go and check that out here in a bit. Well, it's pretty cool up there.
You can see the mine shaft over here.
Oh, that's cool.
Right down.
That's huge, this structure.
Yeah.
The Evening Star Mine is a really big structure that is in remarkably good shape and is easy to spot from quite a distance away. That's cool.
Yeah.
The mine was in operation only from 1939 to 1944. It produced mainly tungsten, and it was also the only producer of tin ore in the Mojave Desert. After a quick refueling stop, we found our way back onto dirt and continued on the trail.
These are extremely large Joshua trees out here, though.
These things must be quite old.
Well, we were just talking about that.
It's so sad to see that big, large area where they're all burnt down, and I'm sure it takes a very long time for those things to recover. They don't look like they're growing very fast.
The Joshua trees in the Mojave Desert always fascinate us. These alien-looking trees have an average lifespan of about 150 years, and some may be far older. It is a little sad to see how devastating wildfires in this area can be, especially for the slow-growing Joshua trees.
Looks like the winds are dying down a little bit now, and the temperature is super pleasant now.
I'm showing just maybe 59, 60 degrees. It's perfect.
We have now made it into the Mojave National Preserve and continue on the East Mojave Heritage Trail, which is very diverse. We have all kinds of crazy routes already. Early this morning, right after we got up and packed up camp because it was cold and windy, we got to a mountaintop with a great view. It was very windy too, and then we got down a wash that was very, very rocky, so it was real hardcore rock crawling there, so we had to spot one another to get through this. Unfortunately, we didn't take any footage there because it was really cold and windy, so nobody was in the mood of taking video footage while spotting and driving. So it was all hands on deck, but it certainly got everybody's attention right away, right after getting up. So now we're driving through the desert, and we're heading toward the center of the Mojave Desert, and where we're eventually going to meet up with the Mojave Trail. Next, we reached the Aiken Cinder mine. This mine was operated much more recently, from 1948 until 1990. It produced volcanic cinder that was used in construction projects and most famously, the Las Vegas Strip. When it closed, they essentially left everything behind. Tractors, diesel engines, massive conveyor belts, shakers, weigh stations, you name it. This was quite a large operation, which makes it a cool area to explore for all the 5-year-old kids in us. We made it officially to the southern point, the end of the section 2 of the Eastern Mojave Heritage Trail. It was super exciting. All kinds of different terrains, anything from lava to a lot of sand and all sorts of different vegetation. And if people say the desert is boring, they really don't know what it's like. So it's a great place to come here. And now at the end, we're going to get this reward. This spectacular view down the valley there. There's some power lines here, but can't blame them. That's probably the quickest way. But it is so cool. You can see so far all these layers of mountains, one after another, and beautiful weather. So far the Mojave is perfect. I mean, not a disappointment at all. We're glad we came. Heading down on section 3 now of the East Mojave Heritage Trail. That's our next segment that we're going to go on. I mean, each of those segments are very long. The first one, or segment 2 that we did, was almost 200 miles. So it took us a few days to do that, and I'm not even sure if we can do the whole section 3, because that's another big section over 200 miles. So we'll see. But there's so many cool things here, so many cool things to check out. The weather is fantastic. It's nice and warm. We have a light breeze here on top of Rocky Ridge. Nothing uncomfortable at all, so I hope tonight's not going to be quite as cold as it was last night. I think we're going to drop a lot of elevation too. We're already down, 2,000 feet from where we were last night, and I think going this direction, we're dropping even more elevation, so that's going to help with the temperature too. So, and we're excited to get on section 3, try it out.
I hope we don't have another windy night when we set camp tonight.
That was a little much.
Tonight, we were driving into the golden hour, and the light in the desert was just magical. And just before sunset, we had reached the Crocero Lake Playa, which was a perfect place to set up camp for the night. We've enjoyed the warm evening and each other's company in a place that we had all to ourselves as far as the eye can see. As the sun sets, this becomes one of those nights that really manifests why we're overlanding. The ability to access and spend time in remote areas of our beautiful country that most folks don't even know exists feels like a great privilege. But not everyone gets it. Sometimes, when we tell some people about what we love about overlanding, their response is, "Aren't you scared to be all alone out there?" It's wild to think that what we treasure most, solitude and the vast untouched spaces, can spark fear in those who have never done anything remotely like that. Having access to our amazing public lands and the freedom to travel independently is a huge privilege, and we are truly grateful for it. Okay, so what's for dinner tonight?
What's for dinner is chicken and rice and onions and peppers.
Ooh, that looks good. Yum.
Hope so.
We'll see.
Sitting around the campfire, we were reflecting on how amazing and surprisingly lonely the East Mojave Heritage Trail has been so far. It turns out that early February is a great time to explore this region. Well, as long as the weather stays dry.
I think you commented on our
Yeah,
video and
he had
asked.
one thing like, yeah, that's my favorite YouTube channels. Ozark Overland and Trail Recon and bronc riding. Did I just hear this right?
That's awesome!
Our one fan.
Yeah, because he commented.
I'm glad we kept driving last night a little bit longer because we found this spectacular place to camp. It's a playa, like an old dry lake bed, completely flat, which makes camping nice and easy. And it's on BLM land here, so we're just outside of the Mohave National Preserve. And we were going under a power line road for quite some time, which was fun driving, but it's not a great place to camp. I don't necessarily like to be under power lines. It just kind of ruins the ambience a little bit. But here we have this whole valley for ourselves. There was not a single soul anywhere, no light, nothing, which was super cool. So we had a great place here, had some breakfast, and now we're hitting the trails again, going on section 3, heading down south from here. So this has been a great trip so far, and I'm excited to see the next parts of section 3. This morning, we set out to find the famous Mojave Megaphone. No one knows what the purpose of this device is, but its unique design and location certainly leaves room for a lot of imagination. My best guess is that it's probably some sort of an art installation. It's a pretty rocky climb from the bottom to the top where the megaphone is placed, and there's not really a trail. But we thought it was well worth the effort and gave it a go.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room up there.
You guys made it all the way up to the megaphone. What's the megaphone for? What do you think?
For announcing our presence.
Okay, try it.
We love overlanding! We love the desert!
I think they could hear you in LA.
Made it to the megaphone. And it was amazing.
Yeah, we just stopped at the Mojave Megaphone, which I have no idea what this thing is all about, but it's kind of cool. It's a cool place to go there. And now we're heading through the desert and heading down south. And still haven't seen a single soul driving on this trail or camping on this trail in 4 days. I can't believe this. It's nobody's going here, but it's a great place. So anyways, we got it all to ourselves, which is really cool. What was your favorite part about the megaphone?
And then just yelling something into the megaphone was fun.
Yeah, it's good to behave like a third grader every once in a while.
Driving over the Broadwell Playa was a lot of fun, and it reminded us a little bit of being on the Alvord Desert. It was a welcome change after crossing hundreds of dry washes in the desert, which can make for pretty slow progress at times.
Who's filming first?
In the little town of Ludlow, we stopped to say hi to Jenny, its most famous and not so wild burro. We also topped off our gas tanks, since we are about to enter our longest stretch without a major fuel supply. The Duke's tank only holds 15 gallons, and although it has pretty reasonable gas mileage, it does not give us a huge range, which is why we carry extra fuel in our roto packs. After leaving Ludlow, we headed southeast deeper into the desert, and the terrain changed yet again. The East Mojave Heritage Trail has been put together by a gentleman named Bill Creech. Many of you have probably heard of the Mojave Road, which runs right through the middle of the Mojave National Preserve, since it's one of America's most famous overland trails. But if you ask some overlanders if they have heard of the East Mojave Heritage Trail, you'll most likely get a blank stare in response. We are only tackling about half of the entire East Mojave Heritage Trail, and so far, it has really exceeded all our expectations. It is pretty diverse, very scenic, and has lots of cool waypoints to explore, and best of all, we are completely alone on it. Other than at a highway crossing where we stopped to refuel, we have not seen anyone else on the trail for now 3 days. I am glad we are attempting this with 2 vehicles, since many parts of this trail are quite far from a paved road. On this section, we have a little company with an enormous freight train, which makes for an unexpected backdrop and adds to the charm of our adventure. We hope you have enjoyed this video of our East Mojave Heritage Trail adventure, and be sure to subscribe so you won't miss part 3 of the series, where we check out Amboy, cross the Providence Mountains, and go on the most unusual hike at the Hole in the Wall. Thank you for watching. See you on the trail.